All right, Husker fans, welcome back to the podcast. Hope you're having a great weekend. I want you guys to really sit with this for a second. Nebraska basketball is 18-0, 7-0 in the Big Ten, and ranked 8th in the country. Those aren't words we're used to saying out loud. And now the conversation shifts. We're no longer talking about whether this team is good. We're no longer talking about whether they belong. Now we're talking about March. So today, I want to do a full March readiness check. Not hype, not predictions, just an honest conversation about whether this Nebraska basketball team is actually built to win in the NCAA tournament. Because we've all seen great regular seasons before that didn't translate to wins in March. And as Husker fans, I think we're trained to be cautious. So let's get right into it. Can we win ugly? This is always the first question I ask when evaluating a March team, because in the NCAA tournament, you're going to have a game where nothing feels right. Shots aren't falling. The whistle's inconsistent. Split crowd. Pace feels weird. And the good news for Nebraska is this. They've already shown they can win ugly. We've seen games where the offense stalls, stretches where shots aren't falling. And instead of panicking, this team leans into their defense. We guard, we rebound, and we grind out possessions. We don't have to score 85 points to win. That matters a lot in March. When games tighten up, possessions slow down, every bucket feels heavy, and Nebraska's comfortable living in that world. 4 ugly games, in my opinion, so far this season. Michigan State, Winthrop, Ohio State, and Maryland Eastern Shore. Maryland Eastern Shore, we only shot 39% from the field and 19% from three. Still won the game by 19 points. Against Michigan State, we shot 32% from the field, 35% from three. Michigan State dominated us on the glass. They had 45 rebounds to our 30. What was the difference? Defense. Nebraska forced 21 turnovers by Michigan State this game. The Ohio State game was an ugly win. We shot 44% from the field, just 28% from three. Buckeyes even won the turnover battle, but Nebraska dominated the glass 38-29 and leaned into their defense. Winthrop shot 42% from the field, 34% from three. Got out-rebounded 48-38, but leaned into our defense and won the turnover battle. So this is a massive check mark in Nebraska's favor. We can win ugly. Second, what happens when shots aren't falling? And let's stay here for a second, because we all know you're going to have off nights shooting. At some point, it's going to happen. It's unavoidable. What I love about this Nebraska team is they don't completely fall apart when that happens. What do when shots aren't falling? Number one, we find points at the free throw line. Sam Hoiberg was the best at this against Northwestern, getting to the line, hitting all of his free throws. He was aggressive when we needed him to be. Braden Frager, when he's not hitting from three-point, he will be aggressive and attack the rim, and it plays in his favor. Jamarcus Lawrence is the best at this, taking it to the rim, getting fouled, making his free throws. And I love that about Nebraska. They keep their composure. You don't see rush shots turning into defensive breakdowns on the other end. They believe that if they keep doing things right, the game will come back to them, and that's a sign of maturity. 2, they get extra possessions on the offensive board thanks to the hustle of Sam Hoiberg, Berke Buchtengel, Braden Frager, even Rank Mast. Everybody hustles, and we've done a great job nabbing offensive boards to get extra possessions. 3rd, we force turnovers. The no-middle defense, we're one of the best in the country at forcing turnovers. Our opponents are averaging over 13 turnovers a game against us. That's big in March. Again, signs of maturity, people. When shots aren't falling, we get to the free throw line, we get extra possessions, and we force turnovers. Can we win without our top scorer having a good night? Well, for the majority of the season, it's been Rank Mast leading the team in scoring. Most recently, Price Sanford has taken him over for the leading scorer, but neither one of those guys needs to go off for us to win games. We've had multiple players who've had double figures in points this season. Price Sanford can go off with his sharp shooting from downtown, as we know. Sam Hoiberg scoring 12 points last game. Frager, 23 and 20 in his last 2. Jamarcus Lawrence went off for 27 against Indiana. Cale Jacobson and even Berke Buchtengel have scored in double figures this season. In fact, on the season, we've had 4 different high scores this season. 4 different high scores this season. That's depth for you. Next, we have guys we trust late, especially from the free throw line. Now, this is where things get real because March games are often decided in the final 4 minutes. And when the game tightens, you need players you trust with the ball, with decision-making, and at the free throw line. Nebraska has that. We don't just rely on one hero. We've got multiple guys that can make the play late, whether that's getting a bucket, drawing contact, or simply just not turning the ball over. And we've got guys who want the ball in those moments. You can see it in the body language. You can see it in how they respond after mistakes. From the free throw line, the Huskers are shooting 76% on the season. That's not good. It's not bad. It's right in the middle. But in tight games, we've been clutch. Let's look at individual numbers. Braden Frager leading the team at 83.3% at the free throw line. Price Sanford, 82.4%. Rank Mast right at 82%. And Jamarcus Lawrence at 78%. Sam Hoiberg's, he's going to be crawling up there. You'd think he'd be number 1 on the list. He struggled early in the season from the line, but like last game against Northwestern, hit every single one of his free throws. He will steadily climb and get up there with these other guys. But in clutch, in tight moments, we have won the free throw battle. What about the bench? Especially when guys get into foul trouble. And this is an area where I still have questions. In March, foul trouble can flip a game fast. While Nebraska does have solid depth, there's certain players we don't want sitting for long stretches. Okay, the encouraging part, though, is our bench understands their roles. They don't try to do too much. They come in, defend, they rebound, and they keep things steady. Cale Jacobson is the perfect example of that. Comes in, plays around 16 to 18 minutes, will nab some rebounds, get some assists, score a couple buckets, maybe hit an open 3. Braden Frager coming in off the bench just adds that energy that you need. A guy that can put up 20-plus points any game off the bench is huge. But again, I think there are guys where you don't want to see, long stretches of them off the court. Rank Mass, Sam Hoiberg, Price Sanford, right? And our bench isn't going to carry us. They're not going to win us games against elite teams. But they can keep us afloat long enough to get the main guys back in rhythm. And that's all you need. Braden Frager, our 6th man off the bench, 12.7 points per game, 4 rebounds. And honestly, he's been one of the most confident late-minute scorers the Huskers have on this team lately. Last 4 or 5 games, he's been a huge factor late in games. Cale Jacobson, just 4.3 points per game, but look at the rebound and assists. That's valuable coming off the bench playing limited minutes. 4 points, 3 rebounds, almost 2 assists per game. That's big. Jared Garcia is another one. He's been inconsistent, but he's shown the ability to create his own shots off the dribble, come in and play great defense, blocking shots, getting rebounds. That's what you need in March. Next, how do we handle physical teams in neutral courts? Well, defense always travels. And when you don't have the home court advantage of Pinnacle Bank Arena, this is important. Defense travels always. Our identity is defense. Consistency. They show up every night. We're disciplined. We're relentless with our ball pressure, with our effort going after steals. We force tough shots. Teams shoot more threes against us than they do against anybody else. They don't have the ability to get a bunch of shots inside the paint because of the no middle switch defensive scheme. And we force so many turnovers, it gets them out of their rhythms. So looking at neutral site games specifically, we've gone undefeated on neutral courts this year. Obviously undefeated on the season, but we beat Oklahoma, K-State, and New Mexico in that early season tournament all on neutral courts. In the Crown tournament last season, we won that. Those were all neutral courts. Won every single one of them. That's important. We're not just great at home with Pinnacle Bank Arena and all the energy that crowd brings to us. We're good on the road and we're good in neutral sites. And against physical teams like Michigan State, teams that want to slow down the game, grind out possessions, beat you up inside, we show ways to hold our own and get the victory. Forcing turnovers, winning the rebounding battle. That's huge. And Michigan State isn't the only physical team in America. You will face a lot of those in the tournament. Scores are lower. It's just slower, more defensive games in the tournament. But Nebraska's not riding emotion. They're not feeding off chaos. We're playing controlled basketball week in and week out. And controlled teams tend to handle neutral courts better. They're less affected by crowd swings. They don't rely on momentum as much. You've seen that with Nebraska this year. They remain calm and poised and collected the whole game. And the coaching staff, Fred Hoiberg and co, deserves credit. We look prepared. We look like we know exactly what we want to do every possession. And that translates into March. So, what is the ceiling? And let's be careful here. I'm not saying national title. I'm not saying Final Four guarantees, but I am saying this. Nebraska's built to win NCAA tournament games. Plural. This feels like a team that can win in the first round. This feels like a team that no higher seeds want to play. This feels like a team that if things break right, we can absolutely play into the second weekend. I see us getting to the Sweet 16 this season. It's very doable. Everything that I've talked through and listed out, our composure in tight games, our discipline and effort on defense, our ability to win ugly games. We have a multitude of players that can score points any given night, a lot of depth, multiple scoring options. We're balanced. I think we can get to the second weekend. My final thought. As Nebraska fans, we're wired to brace for impact, wait for the other shoe to drop. But at some point, you have to acknowledge what is right in front of you. This is an 18-0 basketball team. This is a top 10 team. This is a team built on defense, toughness, and composure. And those things win in March. So no matter how this season ends, this group has already changed the conversation around Nebraska basketball. Best season in program history. And they're not done. And it feels like they know that now. So as fans, we need to enjoy this. We need to embrace it. And let's see how far it goes, baby. This has been the most exciting, fun season in my lifetime. And it comes, thank God it's coming after 25 years of disappointment in football. We're a football school, yeah, but we're seeing what success of a basketball team can bring us. That's all I've got today, you guys. Thanks for listening. Make sure to like and subscribe, leave comments. If you enjoy my videos, getting constant Nebraska football, basketball updates, game previews, recaps, recruiting updates, please subscribe, like, and add comments on my videos. Thanks for listening. Have a great rest of your weekend. Don't forget to tune in next week when we preview the Washington Huskies as basketball takes on Washington next Wednesday at home. We'll do a preview for that. Thanks, everyone, for listening. And as always, go Big Red, baby.